Cheers. Welcome to the Social. Today we're at one of Sydney's most eclectic venues, the Winery in Surry Hills. I'm joined by Mel. Mel, thank you for joining us at the Social.
Very welcome.
This place, I gotta say, is outrageous.
Eclectic, crazy.
You're gonna go eclectic.
Outrageous.
Outrageous. When you walk into this place, it's like a fairy wonderland downstairs. And I'm telling you now, when you're out with your socialite in Surry Hills, this is a prime venue for people who love wine, food, classy cocktails, and mulled wine as well. And today I'm having a Vale Ale from McLaren Vale. It's
Lovely.
I gotta say, it's one of the fun things about this venue is I feel you can trap yourself away and drink something unique and get lost.
Well, I think that's the whole idea behind it. That whole Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole, and this is where you end up. So you've done a good job of it as well.
It's wonderful. What are you drinking, by the way?
This is lovely 2003 Penfolds Grange.
Okay.
Do it by the glass and the half.
How many? I don't know many venues in Sydney or anywhere that do Penfolds Grange 2003 by the glass.
Well, not many do. Not many do. That's our cool little point of difference.
Very cool.
Absolutely, it's all about elegance and class, and you come up here and it's kind of that whole come and sit in the lounge room feel about it.
Very much so.
Come in, get yourself comfy, sit on a swan table.
And you've got an Elvis Presley room back there.
We sure do.
And that's even wilder. I mean, tell you, you're like you're gonna escape, and the lovely thing is here, the food is beautiful.
Food is amazing.
The food is amazing. And just walk us through what's happening at the moment in the food department. What's the chef coming up with?
No, there's a few things. We've got a brand new soup on.
Okay.
Organic lentil and pancetta soup. Our steak. The steak. We've got a few different steak dishes. We've got a double steak frites on Mondays, which is one of our specials, and two other steak dishes. The eye fillet. Oh, amazing.
And it would go well with the Grange, wouldn't it?
Well, it does. It comes with a Tassie Pinot Jus.
Oh,
Pinot
nice.
being quite a light grade,
Yeah.
it needs something big and bold like a Shiraz Cab blend, as
Wow.
Grange is, to kind of amp up that. Otherwise, if you're drinking something light with a steak, especially with a Pinot Jus, you're going to lose all that flavour. So Penfolds Grange goes perfectly with it.
Perfect. Now I got to tell you as well, one thing you'll find out is that the Winery in Surry Hills is not the only eclectic venue like this in Sydney. You've got a few others. You've got the Gazebo and the Manly Wine as well. And whenever you walk into that, well, obviously wine is a massive focus. And I want to talk to you about wine and Australian wines in general, because, and you don't just do Australian wines, you do international wines as well. But what you find, if you are a tourist coming into Sydney and want to experience that wine list that you guys have, this is a great place to settle down and touch base. And the nice thing, I know Manly in here, you have almost like a wine tasting palette.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got an enomatic downstairs.
Enomatic.
Big wall. Enomatic.
It's very fancy.
It's a big wall of wine, and basically we do 56 wines by the glass. You come along and can taste
56 wines.
56
How many of those
wines by
are
the
Australian?
glass. It's a good question. A good
Half?
more than half.
So if you want to experience Australian wines, it's a good place to start.
Absolutely. And a lot of tourists do come to us, and because we are quite iconic venue.
Very much so.
In the short amount of time that we've been here. For our wines, a lot of tourists come in here. We do a wine tasting night on Wednesdays where our sommelier will run you through the enomatic as well. It's kind of like going through a wine flight. So you go through all the different countries, all your different varietals. So you've got some quite out there stuff that not a lot of people have heard of, especially Australian people. So you've got Malbecs and Nebbiolos, and we've got something called a fruit salad, which is a combination of 4 different grape varietals. Just stuff that is a little bit different, a little bit off-centre, kind of like the venue.
Yes, very off-centre.
We have that theme going throughout everywhere. Our food reflects the same kind of theme. So
now, what's your pick? I mean, besides the Grange we spoke about, what wines would you recommend people have when they come here?
Red. The red, I'd definitely go. We've got an amazing Cab Sav on by Geddes. Called Seldom Inn, that's amazing. By the glass that we do, set you about $14. And it's pretty reasonable actually. Very reasonable. And whites. What's my favourite white that we've got on at the moment? We've got a really good biodynamic Verdelho from down the Hunter Valley, or up in the Hunter Valley, sorry. We've got big and buttery Chardonnay.
Yep.
By the glass.
Yeah.
Or by the bottle. Because we're two totally different things right
Okay, good, big, beefy, not beefy, good caramelly, buttery Chardonnay. By the bottle.
I would go for the Lakes Folly.
Oh, really?
Lakes Folly up in the Hunter. They are renowned for their Chardonnays. Amazing boutique winery just up in the Hunter.
Yep.
They're actually one of the first boutique wineries in the Hunter Valley, and their Chardonnay is phenomenal. Set you back. You can't buy it anywhere else. Retail, you can only buy it through
you guys.
Well, not exclusively through us, but exclusively through selected restaurants.
Yes.
And we, thank goodness, are one of those restaurants. But you can't go to Kemany's, you can't go anywhere else and buy any bottle shops and buy this wine. It's phenomenal.
I must say, most of your wine here is absolutely phenomenal. One thing I do love about what you guys do at the moment is it's a bit cold here in Sydney at the moment, but I've got to say the fact that you guys do mulled wine is sensational.
Yeah.
And I got a little secret to tell you. Mel actually makes up her own recipes.
I do.
And she's quite awesome at it.
I do.
Tell us about the new malt wine that you put on the menu.
It's a mulled cider that I've got on the menu actually. We do two. We've got the mulled cider and the mulled wine.
Yep.
The mulled cider is I get a still dry cider from down in Mudgee.
Yep.
Mull it up with some secret herbs and spices.
Wow.
Some maple syrup.
Really?
A little bit of cloudy apple juice and some other secret ingredients, and it tastes like warm apple pie. It's amazing. Alcoholic warm apple pie. It's insane. So and we heat it up and it's nice and hot and toasty, and it's really, really yummy.
I've got to ask you, how did you learn so much about wine and
I actually
beverages?
grew up in a vineyard down in the Riverina.
Okay.
So for most of my life, my grandfather was the first man to bring a grape harvester over into Australia. So I've kind of had it in my blood for a little while.
Wow. And I mean that it obviously shows with the wine list and the mulled wine that you make and things like that. And what do you think is the most significant influence on your education in terms of wine and understanding and appreciating wine?
I think the crew here, it's a really well-educated crew. Like we've got a brand new group, Sommelier, on board, who is just phenomenal, and we're really big on training. So I think you gain a lot of knowledge. Like we've got a Matt Skinner training here. Everybody knows who Matt Skinner is. Anyone in the world of wine knows who Matt Skinner is. Like this man's phenomenal.
Yeah.
We've got, we do quite often. We've got a training day with him tomorrow from over at Gazebo from pretty much all day. So which is really cool.
If you're someone who appreciates wine, this has got to be a first stop. And
absolutely. You just can't beat it. Like you walk down, especially because outside at the laneways all lit up with fairy lights at night. You walk down, you go through those sandstone like wall out the front, and you walk down the gauntlet, as we like to call it,
the gauntlet,
or the runway. And it's such a beautiful venue.
I think it's almost like you're entering, it's one of those venues where you feel like you're entering something special. It's got that, many restaurants or places you go there, but here it's like you've arrived. And it's almost very sexy, it's very calming, and it's very tranquil. And then you get into the craziness of...
You just have to walk in and look up at the roof, and you see cockatoos stuck to the roof, and taxidermy ducks stuck to the roof.
You find a lot of other things stuck to the roof
I have a pet hen here too. Her name's
really?
Tallulah, yeah.
Tallulah?
I'll show you Tallulah later.
But give me understanding, what's the vibe like in this place? Because it's got an eclectic feel, but what is the makeup of like a Friday night? What are people experiencing?
Intense.
Intense?
It's intense. It's amazing. It's so good. Because we've got the mainway outside as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Open until 10, so it's just really full on.
And you have live music here as well?
No live music. We've got, each level has its own different players playing though at different times. So the music is just as eclectic.
It suits me.
Just as eclectic as the furniture and the decor. It's pretty cool. So you can go from listening to a Frank Sinatra song 1 minute to something really drum and bassy the next.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really eclectic. It's cool. Kind of cool. Just mix it up a little bit. Having fun.
If you're out with a socialite in Surry Hills, you will definitely be coming to the winery in Surry Hills. If not, also to the Manly Winery and the Gazebo. Fantastic venues, and I highly recommend it if you want to really appreciate the wines Australia has to offer and do a bit of a world tour as well. Mel, I gotta say, I love what you guys have done with this place. It's such a fresh and unique feel to have this kind of venue in Sydney.
It is.
I don't think there's anywhere else that you have this kind of venue. I really think you've done an amazing job at it, and I hope people come and visit you guys a lot more, because, especially the tourists, because I think it's something that you've got to experience when you're in Sydney.
Absolutely, and that's the whole thing. Like, a wine is so unapproachable to so many people. It's so big. Like, there's only over 10,000 grape varietals in the world, and we have access, especially in Australia, have access to very few. So wine is seen as this big daunting thing, and that's what makes us so popular, is
Yes.
that you can come in and taste something that you wouldn't normally taste,
Yes.
not pay a cent for it, and actually get some kind of feel as for what you like, and maybe even change your mind. Like, you may be a Sauv Blanc drinker through and through,
Yes.
and you may come in and see me, and I'll give you something else, whether it be a Spanish Video, and something a little bit different, but still quite accessible, and fall in love with it.
Absolutely.
Changes your palate. It's amazing.
And it also educates your palate. I also think,
Absolutely.
the fact is,
Absolutely.
just because you drink Sauv Blancs doesn't mean Sauv Blanc's the only wine you're going to appreciate.
Exactly
The
right.
different ways of blending wines together. Well, Mel, thank you so much for showing us the winery. I really appreciate it, and sharing us your knowledge in wines. And guys, as I said before, come along to the winery in Surry Hills. It's an awesome venue to experience not just wines, but also to get an education and learn a bit more about other wines that you might enjoy as well. The food here is amazing, the setting is perfect, and it'll blow your socks off. Mel, thank you so much. From the winery, see you guys later.
Cheers.
Bye.